I sat on the couch, my arm wrapped around Lily's shoulders, feeling the warmth of her body against mine. The living room was abuzz with activity, all 7 of us crammed into a space that suddenly felt way too small. I couldn't remember the last time we were all here at once. "Hey," I whispered to Lily, "want to head to our room? It's getting a bit stuffy in here." She nodded, a slight smile playing on her lips. We got up, navigating through the sea of bodies and murmured conversations. I caught Sophie's eye as we passed, and she gave me a knowing look that made my stomach flip. Once in our room, I flopped onto the bed, pulling Lily down with me. She giggled, snuggling into my side. "God, it's intense out there," I said, running my fingers through her hair. "Everyone's acting weird, right? It's not just me." Lily propped herself up on an elbow, her dark eyes sparkling. "Oh, it's definitely not just you. There's something in the air tonight." Before I could respond, our door swung open. Ethan stood there, looking like he was about to burst with energy. His eyes swept the room before landing on us. "Hey, lovebirds," he said, his voice low and charged, "don't mind me." He turned and walked back out, leaving the door open. I heard him say, "Mark, buddy, come here for a sec." My heart started racing. I thought back to the ___ incident, how Ethan had orchestrated that whole thing. Was he up to something again? Lily and I exchanged glances as we heard Ethan's voice again, this time quieter, more intimate. "Why don't you join us in the bedroom?" I couldn't make out Mark's response, but a moment later, both of them appeared in our doorway. Mark looked a bit uncertain, his eyes darting between Ethan and us on the bed. Ethan, on the other hand, was the picture of confidence as he guided Mark into the room and shut the door behind them. The air in the room suddenly felt thick, charged with potential. I swallowed hard, watching as Ethan moved closer to Mark, whispering something in his ear that made Mark's eyes widen. Lily leaned in close, her breath hot on my neck. "Holy ___," she whispered, her voice trembling with excitement. "Are they?" I nodded, unable to speak, my mind reeling, thinking about what might happen next. I couldn't help but notice how Ethan's hand lingered on Mark's shoulder, how Mark's body seemed to lean into the touch. "Jake," Lily murmured, her fingers tracing patterns on my chest, "remember when Ethan joined us that night?" I did remember vividly, the way Ethan had taken charge, how he'd made Lily moan in ways I'd never heard before. And now, seeing him with Mark, I felt a confusing mix of excitement and curiosity. Across the room, Ethan had backed Mark up against the wall, their faces inches apart, and I could see the rise and fall of Mark's chest, his breath coming faster. Ethan's hand moved to Mark's waist, and I heard a sharp intake of breath. Lily's hand slid lower on my body, and I realized I was getting hard. She noticed too, a wicked grin spreading across her face. "You like watching them, don't you?" she whispered, her hand now resting on my thigh. I nodded, unable to tear my eyes away from Ethan and Mark. They were kissing now, Ethan's body pressed against Mark's, pinning him to the wall. Mark's hands were tangled in Ethan's hair, pulling him closer. My mind wandered to Sophie, Ethan's girlfriend. I remembered how she'd been there at the Glory Hall, how she'd seemed just as into it as Ethan was. Was she okay with this? Did she know? As if reading my thoughts, Lily said, "I bet Sophie's loving this. You know how she and Ethan are." I did know, they had an open relationship, always pushing boundaries and trying new things. It was part of what made them so intriguing. The sound of a zipper being pulled down snapped my attention back to Ethan and Mark. Ethan had dropped to his knees, his hands working at Mark's jeans. Mark's head was thrown back, his eyes closed, mouth slightly open. Lily's hand moved higher on my thigh, and I felt my breath catch. "Should we join them?" she whispered, her voice husky with desire. I hesitated, torn between my excitement and a nagging sense of uncertainty. This was all happening so fast, and I wasn't sure where it was leading. But as I watched Ethan take Mark into his mouth, heard Mark's low moan of pleasure, I felt my reservations start to melt away. "Maybe," I said, my voice barely audible, "let's see where this goes." Lily nodded, her eyes dark with desire. She leaned in and kissed me, deep and passionate, as the sounds of Ethan and Mark's encounter filled the room. I lost myself in the kiss, in the warmth of Lily's body against mine, in the electric atmosphere that surrounded us all. As we broke apart, I caught sight of Mark looking our way, his eyes half-lidded with pleasure. Our gazes locked for a moment, and I felt a jolt of excitement run through me. Whatever was happening tonight, it was clear that things between all of us would never be the same again. My hand found its way to Lily's thigh, the warmth of her skin grounding me as the tension in the room grew thicker. I glanced over at Ethan and Sophie. Ethan's fingers flirted with the waistband of her jeans, just enough to reveal a hint of his growing excitement. The shimmer in Sophie's eyes spoke volumes. It made me hyper-aware of Lily beside me, every inch of her as much a temptation as the scene unfolding across the room. Ethan exited the bedroom, bantering out like a bold announcement. He turned to Mark. "Your turn," he commanded with a casual confidence that sent a shiver down my spine. He then stepped up to us, with a mischievous glint in his eyes. "What does it taste like?" Inviting, challenging. Lily met my gaze, biting her lip, that usual playful light in her eyes now mixed with something darker, something raw. Before I knew it, we leaned in. It felt like diving off the deep end of a cliff, thrilling and terrifying. I used my magic skills for Ethan, and Lily soon joined in with her magic skills too. The room seemed to hum in response, Ethan's body trembled under our skills, and I felt a sense of unity, a shared secret between those present. He arched his back, and it was evident that our combined efforts had driven him to an edge he'd forgotten existed. "You two are something else," Ethan panted as he stepped back. Mark stepped past us, joining Ethan and Sophie, who was already lost in another world, hands gripping the sheets tightly. The atmosphere in the room shifted again, an electric buzz of anticipation hanging in the air. Lily's hand found mine, squeezing it gently. We exchanged looks filled with unspoken words, curiosity, excitement, a tinge of nervousness. Conversations flowed easily, a mix of whispered confidences and eager declarations. Ethan and Mark's actions had unlocked something within all of us, a sense of freedom, of being unapologetically ourselves. We talked about boundaries and desires, each mention making my heart pound harder, making Lily squeeze my hand just a bit tighter. And then, Tyler finished his turn. He stood in the doorway, his usually messy curls sticking to his forehead with sweat. "All right, ladies," he announced, a playful glint in his eye. Lily and I, alongside the other girls, exchanged charged looks, the anticipation in their eyes mirrored my own. We crossed the threshold into the bedroom, finding Sophie blindfolded, her body glistening with perspiration and milk. Ethan's voice cut through the anticipation-filled room. "Take care of Sophie." Lily and I didn't hesitate, our combined hunger for the experience pushing us forward. I began eagerly, with my magic mouth to Sophie. I could taste the milk. Next to me, Lily mirrored my actions, our movements in perfect synchronization. Sophie responded instantly, her breaths quickening. A moment of dominance transformed into shared excitement, Lily and I working in tandem, heightening Sophie's excitement. Lily's eyes locked with mine, and in that moment, the connection between us felt unbreakable. We understood each other on a level I didn't think possible, our mutual desires laid bare brought us closer. Sophie's excitement built up once more, Lily and I continued relentlessly, determined to bring her over the edge. With a final, desperate scream, Sophie ended. Ethan watched, a satisfied smile on his face. "Good job, you two." Lily and I pulled away, catching our breath. Ethan's approval felt like a reward, adding to the exhilaration of the night. Every sensation, every sound seemed magnified. The dynamics within our group forever changed in these charged moments. We had crossed a threshold, ventured into a new realm of intimacy and exploration, and there was no looking back. We're all sort of lying around like a pile of lazy cats, the afterglow just hanging in the air, weirdly comfortable. Ethan sitting against the headboard with Mark curled up next to him, their arms casually draped over one another like it's the most natural thing in the world. Sophie sprawled out on her side, idly scrolling through her phone, while Lily leans against me, her fingers tracing random patterns on my arm. The TV flickers in the background, some movie Ethan insisted on putting on, but I haven't been paying attention to it at all, not after everything that just went down. I shift a little, trying to get my mind to chill. The room feels calm again, like we pressed some cosmic reset button, but my brain, it's doing anything but resting. It's like a fuse has been lit, and I'm just sitting there watching it burn. Lily whispers something to Sophie, and they share a small laugh. It stirs up warmth in my chest, seeing them click like that, no weirdness, no judgments. I glance around the room at all of them. The tension's not gone, not really, it's just different. More like settled now, but still buzzing underneath everything. I try to focus on the movie, some cheap action flick with bad dialogue I'd normally be mocking, but man, it's impossible to concentrate. How do you go back to normal after something like this? It's not like we haven't all been close before, but this was something else. Lily nudges me, bringing me out of my head. Hey, you good? Her voice is soft, but her eyes are sharp, always tuned into where I am mentally. Yeah, I murmur back, smiling, though it probably looks more like a smirk. Just thinking about. What? She asks teasingly, like she doesn't already know. I glance toward Mark and Ethan. Ethan's now fiddling with Mark's hair absent-mindedly, their breathing perfectly in sync. I mean, I say, lowering my voice so only she can hear. Where do we go from here? She snorts quietly, shaking her head a bit, a playful smile tugging at her lips. I don't know. Does it matter? We'll just figure it out as we go, I guess. She's right, but it's hard not to think about it. There's this electric, unpredictable charge now. It feels like the rules are all different, or maybe they just don't exist anymore. It's thrilling in a way I didn't realize I needed.